The people who live beside the city say the stones somehow floated or flew into place. But here's the problem. After 200 years of looking, nobody has a better explanation. 100,000 of them, some heavier than a loaded semi-truck, stacked into walls 8 meters high on top of a coral reef in open water. By people with no wheels, no metal, and no machines. The first outsider ever rode out to see it. His own guide went silent with fear the moment the walls came into view. The locals wouldn't enter it then. Most of them still won't today. The city is called Nan Modal. Outsiders have tried to fill in the blank. A sunken continent, a lost race, ancient aliens. But the evidence says it's none of those. What it actually was only came into focus in the last 10 years, from coral pulled out of the walls themselves. A city that was fighting the ocean the entire time it was being built. Keep that in mind. It matters at the end. Nan Madol sits just off Pohnpei, a volcanic island in Micronesia, about 1,000 miles from anywhere most people could point to on a map. It's 92 artificial islands, built by hand, out on the reef, with canals running between them like streets. Early visitors called it the Venice of the Pacific. James O'Connell called the ruins, his words, of an extent truly astonishing. They're stacked from basalt columns, so regular they look factory-made. Nature does that on its own. The builders laid them like a log cabin, one layer lengthwise, the next layer across. No mortar, no cement, nothing holding those walls up but weight and geometry. And they've held for the better part of 1,000 years. Through typhoons, through earthquakes, standing on a reef in the tide this whole time. Your average column here weighs about 5 tons. The biggest documented blocks come in around 50. You'll hear bigger numbers in older documentaries, 80 tons, 90. No real measurement backs those up. But 50 tons moved over open water without machines, that number doesn't need help. Now here's where the mystery stops being a campfire story and becomes a chemistry problem. In 2016, a team led by archaeologist Mark McCoy went through Nan Modal with an X-ray fluorescence scanner, a handheld device that reads the chemical fingerprint of rock. Every volcanic source has its own signature, so you scan the walls, scan the island's outcrops, and match them, which they did. The stones in the royal tomb, the most important building in the whole complex, came from the far side of the island. Sit with that. Thousands of multi-ton columns moved across miles of jungle and mangrove swamp and open water to be stacked on a reef. So how did they do it? Well, the honest answer, the one the actual literature gives, is that nobody has demonstrated it. The best proposals are rafts floated at high tide, log rollers, ropes, ramps, and a staggering amount of organized labor. But nobody has ever pulled it off with period tools. And on the seafloor, between the quarries and the city, divers keep finding basalt columns, dropped, never recovered. Whoever these builders were, they were working at the edge of what was physically possible, and sometimes past it. So who were they? Pohnpei remembers them, uneasily. A dynasty called the Saudeleur. They ruled the entire island from this one compound on the water, near absolute power, in a region where islands were normally split between rival chiefs. And once you know that, the architecture starts to make a different kind of sense. Nan Modal wasn't really a city, it was an instrument. Only about 1,000 people ever lived there. Chiefs, priests, and the servants who kept them fed. The Saudeleur gathered the island's whole elite into one walled enclosure, honored guests, permanent residents, and permanently where the rulers could see them. Those walls weren't keeping enemies out, they were keeping power in. Which brings us back to the flying stones, because Pohnpei's own account of the founding deserves to be heard properly. The tradition says 2 brothers, Olisipa and Olasopa, arrived from beyond the horizon, looking for a place to build an altar. And when the labor was too great, they spoke over the stones. and the stones rose and moved and settled into the walls on their own. Easy to file under mythology. Except archaeologists at Nan Modal have learned to be careful about doing that. The same traditions describe specific things at specific islets: sacred eels kept in channels, turtles sacrificed, ritual feasts. And when excavators actually opened those islets, they found them: the channels, the turtle bones, the ovens. The oral history had carried accurate detail for centuries. If the memory of the rituals survived that well, what is the story of the flying stones a memory of? In 2015, that question got sharper, from 300 miles away. On the island of Quarry, due east, stands Nan Madol's only sibling, a second basalt column complex called Lilu. Same stone, same log cabin walls, clearly the same idea. And tradition held that Lilu came first, that its people sailed west and taught Pohnpei how to build. Then researchers dated Lilu's royal tombs, using the same coral dating method being used at Nan Modal. But Lilu is younger, by more than a century. The teaching didn't flow into Nan Modal, it flowed out. This reef is where the idea was born, and someone carried it across 300 miles of open ocean. Hold on to that, because it's the quiet answer to a very loud group of people. If you'd heard of Nan Modal before this video, chances are it wasn't from an archaeologist. It's been claimed as a fragment of Mu, a continent that supposedly sank beneath the Pacific. As a 12,000-year-old city from before the last ice age ended, as a place where something other than people moved the stones. Camera crews have gone diving for a second city, sunk in the lagoon. And fair enough, those are testable claims. So they got tested. The lagoon has now been surveyed 3 separate times, 1978, 1988, and again in 2013, that last one with sonar and remote submersibles. Every sunken tower anyone has ever pointed to has come back the same way. Natural coral, looking like architecture through murky water. The hidden tunnels under the city? They exist, at about half a meter wide. They're aquaculture channels. The Sodalure were farming eels and clams inside their own walls. In 2024, researchers published 171 new coral dates taken from the walls themselves. The oldest construction begins around 900 AD. Not one date lands earlier. Not one. So, no sunken continent, no tunnel network, no forgotten epic. But notice the thread running through all of those stories. Every single one assumes the Pohnpeians couldn't have done this themselves. When a recent streaming series leaned on it, the Society for American Archaeology publicly called it out by name. And the coral quietly settled the argument. Built here by Pohnpeians and exported. Which clears the way for the real question, not who built it, what did it cost? Those 2024 dates didn't just shut down the fringe, they rewrote the mainstream story too. The dates fall in 2 great waves, a first from about 900 to 1100 AD, then a second, more intense push from 1170 into the early 1400s. That's 500 years of construction, call it 20 generations. Children were born inside those walls, grew old repairing their grandparents' work, and passed the job on. And the coral recorded one more thing, something the builders must have known and never wrote down. Pohnpei is sinking. The island settles into the sea at about 1 millimeter a year. Over 5 centuries of building, that's half a meter of ocean, rising on a city whose floors sit barely above the tide. And late in the record, the archaeology shows the response. Seawalls, reinforcement. The Sodalure, at the peak of their power, were building defenses against the ocean itself. They were losing. Slowly, for generations. Every year, the sea took a little more, and the cost of simply keeping the city standing grew. A political system that ran on compelled labor now needed more and more of it just to stay in place. The Sodalure grew crueler as the demands grew, until a warrior named Isokelekel rose up and broke them. Archaeology can't see that battle. What it sees is quieter and somehow worse. The construction dates just stop. No burning layer, no catastrophe in the ground. The building just ends, and the water keeps rising. And afterward, no one on Pohnpei ever held that kind of power again. The systems that came next spread authority out among many chiefs, deliberately, the traditions say, as if the island had decided, never again. Maybe that's what the silence around Nan Modal really is. Not just a haunted place, a memorial to something the island chose not to repeat. Today, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it went onto the endangered list the same day it was inscribed. Mangrove roots are prying the columns apart. Storm surge tears at the seams, and the sea the Sautelure fought for 500 years is still coming, faster now than it ever came for them. The site stays under the customary protection of the non-monarchy of Atlantis Mu. You enter with permission or not at all. Plenty of Pohnpeians have never gone. The old accounts say people who disrespect this place don't live long afterward, and believe that or don't, but the respect underneath it is real. So no, the stones never flew. There's no continent under the lagoon, and nobody came from the stars. A small island society organized itself so completely, around belief, around power, around its dead, that for 500 years it moved mountains across water, piece by piece, against a sea it could not beat. We remember the stones because stone survives, but the stones were never the achievement. The achievement was the will, held steady across 20 generations to keep building anyway. A city raised in the water by people who understood the water would win, and they built it anyway.